Hello. Hello, 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 hello. Hello, pretty much the staff of MAV watching out there. So wonderful to be live on the MAV channel. My name's Candy B, and I'm here to do our first shelter artist talks, a part of the shelter commissions that occurred earlier this year in response to COVID-19. But first of all, I wanted to acknowledge where I'm based at the moment and where I'm recording from, which is on Wurundjeri and Woiwurrung people's lands in the Kulin Nation. Always was and always will be Aboriginal land. Also, solidarity to the Djambarrong mob who are currently grieving the loss of their birthing trees and are working on massive piece of work to ensure that their cultural homelands remain safe and intact for their peoples and for generations to come. Oh, got a shout out from Andy Miller. Hi, Andy. Good to hear from you. Now, this shelter commission was something pretty extraordinary that I still look at and feel great, I guess, wonder and honor, because the artists who came together, around 44 artists came together to make individual works based on a commission program. And at that time, I wasn't working for MAB yet. It was in, I believe, back in the day in May. And I made a work called She Takes Shelter in Her Body. So I wanted to share that with you now. She takes shelter in her body. She is home inside her flesh, inside her bones, inside her skin. She is curved like, brown like, thick like, all things South African. She takes shelter in her mother. She is home inside her heart, inside her hope, inside her sting. She holds her close like, tight like, scarred like, all things South African. She takes shelter in her sisters. She is home inside their tongues, inside their dreams, inside their sin. They sing her true like, hot like, whole, like all things South African. She takes shelter in her heritage. She is home inside herself, inside her queen, inside her king. It maps her soul like seas, like skies, like hills, like all things South African. So for me, the pandemic has hit on a few really deep and painful feelings around being very far from my parents' homelands that are being absolutely ravaged by the disease and the virus, I should say, mainly because so many people are already experiencing autoimmune disorders, HIV, diabetes, and that sort of thing. So the closest I could feel to them was being inside of my skin. And that's where that poem came from, a place of, I guess, diasporic despair of feeling so far and so close, of having to bury and grieve for family without being allowed to leave my home, was a really deep and hard and whole experience. So it was quite beautiful to look over the artworks in the shelter commissions and see other artists experiencing this really sensual sense of grief. And so I'd like to call on our first artist that I'm going to talk to about their artwork in a moment. We're going to watch their work first. And the work is called If We Could Hug.
If I could even just see you, there would be relief. Where I could meet eyes with yours, a sigh and a smile just to be in your presence. I see you, and I'm glad that you're here. I can be still knowing that you're here. I can rest, knowing that we're safe together. In your gaze alone, I feel held, soothed by the flow, the calm, the comfort of us together. So if we could hug, it would be whole worlds upon dreams, upon lifetimes of warmth. I'd envelop you with my arms. I'd rub your back and I'd whisper, I got you. We'd have a moment of rest, to be still together, to alleviate our minds, to soften into our hearts and our bodies, so we can breathe together and sigh together and cry together, hold steady together. I'd sink my head deeper into the curve of your neck. My frown confesses how badly I've missed you. I've missed this. I needed this. I'd take the longest, most generous breath in and out. I can hear my heart. I can hear it. My fingers would curl in to hold you, really hold you, and keep holding you until you can hear your heart too. Until all your needs, all the sensations you crave for are met too. And then we would breathe together and sigh together, hold steadfast together. And just when we thought it was enough, I'd hold you more. I'd hold you through the smiles, through the tears and the quiet. I'd hold you through an entire conversation. I'd hold you through our laughter as we rock, because my hugs have a sway to them. And we always laugh about how we end up spinning. And Mama's hugs end with an,
okay, get off now.
If we could hug, it would feel like coming home. If we could hug,
that would be lovely.
Hello, Bella Waru. How are you?
I'm well. Yeah, I'm well. I was like almost a little bit crying watching that just then, which hasn't happened since we first made it. So I was like, oh my gosh, get it together.
It just has such a lilt to it. And I think those two little voiceovers at the end,
Yeah.
they crack your heart open when you're just on that boat, and then you're like, nope, here we go.
Yeah.
So beautiful. So that was a collaboration between yourself and your key collaborator, Irihepeti Waru. Watini.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes, you are Waru. She's Waratini.
Yeah.
And have you worked together for a while, or is this a new sort of moment?
We have collaborated in life, being housemates and friends for 3 years now, I'd say, of friendship, and 2 years of living together and being a family. But this was only the second time we had creatively put something out together.
Lots of people are sending you kisses and hearts and calling it very beautiful. So that's nice to see. So was the work sort of born out of the fact that you were in the house together then, and it sort of grew? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we're both artists, we're both creators, but having lived together, I think we'd been living together for like a year and a bit and never worked together, always doing projects separately. And then all of a sudden we were locked in the house together. We could.
Yes.
So, yeah.
That's lovely. And you did tell me a story about the first lockdown in Victoria, friends and community actually dropping off food baskets and staying connected, but at a distance.
Yeah.
And this was born out of you describing what you might do if you were able to hug. Is that right?
Yeah, so in the first lockdown, we had some beautiful friends and family come past and drop off some stuff and vice versa. And obviously, you know, coming and then like standing way back from the door, not coming inside, not being able to touch or anything. And we were so frustrated. Touch is such a regulating thing for me and such a way to show my love to people too. And yeah, so we just, when people were coming over, we were like really wanting to hug, but obviously couldn't do that. And so we were describing as descriptively as possible what our hug would be like if we could hug them, and coming up with all of these really interesting different ways of describing what that would be like with different people. And we ended up writing a spoken word piece similar to the one that you see in the film, which we ended up making up these little care packages for our fams, and we drove around to their houses and dropped them off. And a part of the care package was a little a link to a Dropbox which had us singing our fams songs and reading this poem to them. So at first it was like a private thing that was just for our friends and our family and our loved ones, and we kind of we wanted that to go and be shared.
Oh, it's pretty incredible. Even that in itself makes me think about the world that we're living in too. You were saying that you also have international, obviously, friends back in Aotearoa and around the world. How is it feeling at the moment? I hear that you've just driven back from New South Wales, where you were trapped or stayed during our second hard lockdown.
Yeah.
Where are you now in yourself, in your art, in your feeling? How is it?
Oh, there was so much in that. I think right now I'm have been for a while focused on listening as much as possible to what is around and what is available. I feel like I've definitely been in a number of states and situations where there's been so much resistance and so much pushback, or I'm wanting to go in a direction and that there's something like in direct opposition to being able to go with that. And I've found that can be, I get really frustrated with that sensation, and focusing on the thing that is stopping me disallows any like capacity to see in any other direction. So the listening and the reorientating has been really helpful to kind of rather than continuing to like run up against a brick wall, like turn around and look at other possibilities and options, which I feel like that feeling is something I'm really familiar with when it comes to like being of the diaspora and you know, having a lot of my we're talking before, and I was saying like a lot of the people who are closest to me in my constellation of loved ones are far away are either international or interstate and are not within my physical reach at the moment. And that is that's something that people navigated already outside of this pandemic, but I feel like it really, this situation, it drove it home. It
Yeah.
drove it home in some really full-on ways for a lot of people. And
yeah, it's very, everything is amplified, and it's like there's lights being shone on the most difficult parts, which is when you have loss or grief or anxiety or worry for a person's well-being. That stuff's always been hard. You know, I've always had family pass on in other parts of the world. I remember coming back from Edinburgh to see my mother for her birthday, but my grandmother passed away. As I was flying back to Australia, my mother was on a plane to South Africa, and my sister was on a plane to Brisbane, and my other sister was on a plane to Chicago. And it felt like of our unit in this really intense time of the matriarch passing on, that we were just, our matrilineal line was sort of so spread and so strange to then go through that process. And I feel like, yeah, this pandemic has been these waves and waves and waves of it, and affecting the body in such a whole way. I feel like Black and brown cultures are very affectionate and physical cultures. So when I watched your piece too, I was in that space of yearning, that diasporic yearning for that touch and that warmth and that holding. It really brought all of those things up. Definitely.
Yeah.
Well, it's been very lovely talking, and I might actually call on you a little bit later on for some more sensuality, if that's okay.
Yeah.
Check with all of your significant others, constellation of lovers. Myself, I going to check with a few people that that's going to be okay to do that. Be so sensual. But we'll see you again. And now I just love to introduce the next piece called I Touch Myself.
When was the last time you desired yourself? I have always desired other hands to teach me I was worthy of touch. The poetry was always about somebody else. The words were always for the longing, the lacking, the searching of another body. For all the times I've had to justify my othered body, repurpose my voice, speak up, shut down. In the inexorable emptiness of the last 3 months, I have felt lost, deprived of presence through touch. I am hungry for fingers through my hair, for faces against my neck. I am dreaming of dirty LEDs and friends squeezed onto one small, sticky Thursday couch. Kisses hello and hugs goodbye. Sleepy cuddles. Glitter. When I am not touching, I cannot feel my humanity. this overwhelming absence, I touch myself and make the revolutionary act of holding my body. I make dance of my body. I sing songs of my body. I make sound of my body. I make love to my body. I dream of being born, solitary, fluid, skin, salt, touching for the first time. I honor, I praise, I am listening to my body that is wiser than me. The body that was conscious before I was born, the body that continues to live long after I am dead. I touch for my fingers that brush over my body without ever noticing the divinity of what they are getting to discover and rediscover every day. My brain making to-do lists for the next deadline, the reply text, the response to key selection criteria, without letting myself feel the relief of putting my head down every night. For my back that carries my multitudes of emotions, or the love I have to give, or the love I hold in me. Love is a labor, and I am the bearer of my greatest work. I am the embodiment of a radical joy, of ancestors whose vital blood have guided the way for mountains to grow. Between my ribs is a song, still unknown but sung in sleep every night. I touch myself as a reminder that I am still here, beyond the bodies that have walked with me. I touch myself as a statement of rebellion when I am given remedies to lighten my pride. I touch myself for survival. I touch myself for pleasure, for worship, for gratitude, for love of the rough in the elbows and the dark between the legs, for beauty that has always been contested, but not to me, not anymore. I am, above all else, my own.
Hey, that was beautiful. I'm now welcoming the artist that created it.
Hi.
Cindy, James, do you have one of those like Bradgelina names yet? Combination?
I could come up
name.
with one now if you want.
Yeah. Maybe someone out there can comment in. James, Cindy. Wow, again, it's the I really got to stop making sounds like apparently it's not nice for others. It's good for me, but online it sounds crazy. Just the rhythm and the flow, right? And when you set out to make this work, I understand that you were perhaps in different locales. Is that right? You were all in home offices?
Scattered throughout.
Yeah. Oh, Susan Cocky saying magical.
Thanks, Susan.
Thank you.
Yeah, magical. Thanks, Susan. So you were, where were you all located?
So me and Francis were still kind of close-ish in Melbourne, in Naarm, and James was on Wathaurong country in Ballarat while we were here. And the people who featured in our video were all sort of scattered in different parts of Naarm as well. So we did everything over Zoom.
How did you find your cast?
We kind of just...
Yeah, it's like the just collective pool of who we know, and then I think even one of the people who was in the video, who was like someone who we knew was like a chain reaction, good word of mouth, a big surprise, honestly, that we got like people to join in, because we're so used to, reaching out to the people we know and then having people come to us. It was great.
And how did you pitch it? Did you say like, touch yourself on your bed?
Yeah, honestly, when we asked for people to be a part of it, we weren't quite sure what it was going to be about either, because we kind of just really wanted, so the process was that we gave everyone an hour that they can use the time however they wanted. We kind of just like left the chat and they could just, some people like danced, Sen did some yoga, like Ella just like got full glammed up and I did her makeup. So it was basically just inviting people to do self-care, basically.
Be with themselves.
Yeah.
Yep. With themselves. Yes.
Mm.
And the words, how do you split your team up regarding like who's the word captain and who's the graphics captain and who does the video?
So I did the music and sound. Cindy did the words, and so Cindy's voice is the narration voice, and Francis did all the video graphics and putting it all together.
Forrest is saying, so great to hear the stories behind the works.
Thanks, Forrest.
See the stars before the stardom occurs. And how did you all meet initially?
So we all met doing like different aspects of student musical theatre at the University of Melbourne.
Yeah.
So we were doing musicals together. Francis and I sort of we kind of all did a bit of everything.
Yeah, big spread.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So for the past 2 years, we've been doing that together. And then since like this time last year, we've been kind of like trying to make some of our own works and
I've got to say, in my experience of working with musical theatre people, I'm going to get in big trouble if I continue the sentence. But I was just going to say that was a really deep drop, and it's not always something you get from that sort of razzle-dazzle music theatre vibe, if you know what I mean. So there are obviously other influences also playing their part within your work. Any particular loves, inspiration, things that you're watching even right now?
I think my exposure to the kind of work that Mav supports was kind of a cool
Sorry, Mark. Tanjuko just said, say it, Candy, with an emoji laughing. Musical theatre. I
feel like we can finish that sentence in our heads and we're all in the same spot.
Yes.
But like taking inspiration from like community and other people working in similar spaces kind of drives home and acts as the kind of really beautiful foundation for us to build off. And relying on networks, and it's really cool to see how our voice contributes to all these other voices that are so important.
And I guess it's a bit of a feat what you pulled off there because you got pieces of video from how many in the cast altogether?
Five people in the video.
5 people in the video, and then the 3 of you obviously working across the art form, so like 8 people. Was that fun? How was working, working at home and in isolation?
I think
there are there are a lot of Google Docs, I think.
Yeah. Google Docs, Google Drives, honestly, please sponsor us or something. It's really tough because there was, like, as we said, there were like 3 like tiers. There was like the writing of it and like the recording of it and the editing and like putting it all together. A lot of back and forths, and I think when we were putting it together, we were kind of still at the start of ISO where, like now I feel like a lot of us have gotten the hang of it, like getting better at doing things online. But back then, especially doing something such as video and like a mix of video and performance art, it was really difficult to just, even when we wanted to make small tweaks, we would have to send entire files over and redo things. And I think, Cindy, what happened while you were like narrating? There was like a tiny...
Yeah, there was like a blip in because I don't know anything, like I'm tech, no. So
techno, like
yeah, techno.
Yeah, no,
both?
No, right?
Yeah, so I had like a blip while I was recording. I think a bit of like the sound didn't work, but then at that point I had already sent the recording to Francis and he had already done a cut. Yeah, and then I was watching that cut. It was probably like the 3rd or 4th cut. It was like 12 a.m. or something in the middle of the night. And I was like, I just noticed this one thing. Can you just do it again? Like, and then he had to like tweak the whole, because like one frame and then yeah.
It's like Jenga, virtual Jenga. Yeah. Wow. The migration to digital for the live artist has been real, right? So what did you make before you made such a thing? Oh, # Zoom life. I hear Sneha. So what sort of work were you making before you made this piece?
What we did directly before this was a kind of physical theatre hybrid show, so like hyper live, at the Melbourne Fringe Festival called Safe Word, Our Asian Sexploration, with us and then a bunch of really cool queer Asian identifying folks across Melbourne.
Yeah,
that was really cool.
So you're all Asian?
Yes.
Sorry. I'm actually Blasian, but people rarely ask me about my South Asian and Asian side. But yeah, and you're not allowed to be too many things, right?
No, true.
So what parts of Asia are you all from? I know I just cut in there.
Yeah, my family's from Vietnam.
Vietnam.
Yeah, I'm Han Chinese.
I'm half Filipino.
Yes, my grandfather's Chinese Malay from Indonesia, and my granny has Indian South Asian blood. And recently, I was trying to find out where from, but apparently we don't speak of it.
Oh. I feel like in big migrant diasporic families, there are always secrets.
Right?
Yeah.
I'm like a writer. Now I want to find out that shit. You were at the Melbourne Fringe doing a hyper live show about sex and being Asian called Safe Word.
Yeah.
Go on.
It basically just kind of came out of, I think, well, at least for me personally, I think that was the first kind of I don't know, out of the box thing I've ever tried to do. And it kind of just came out of a this desire to be it's something that I would personally love to see. We would personally love to see. But it's not available, so we'll just make it. Yeah.
And I think
right.
Oh, and I think like talking about before how we came from musical theater, it's very much it's just a lot to the same sometimes.
Stay in the box.
Yeah.
Right. Your house is too big, get out of the box.
Also I think it also came from a really great place where, since we are all Asian, we were able to talk about certain things, and I think that really resonated. And I I think that personally for me, it like that's what materialized into safe word and then into I touch myself as well.
Yes.
A lot of themes, intimacy, love that, love touching, very beautiful, love the love language. But you can tell, I feel like you can kind of tell that it's kind of grown with it in the way.
Very, very cool. And I might just need to have you all back on towards the end for some Central Time.
Hell yeah.
Sounds good.
Feels like it's up your alley, just saying. I love all the pinkness here. Parker, shirt, I see it. First track in the house. I don't think anyone from Mav knows what I'm talking about, but we do. I see you. Now we're going to go on a little bit of an audio journal. Can I speak words? A little bit of an audio journey with Jonathan Homsey and his work from Shelter. Oh, Jennifer Piper's just said, "Oh, I remember touching left eye." Oh, Jennifer, I feel you. I wish. No, good friend of mine. I don't think we've ever felt each other. Next time I see her and we're allowed to hug, we're doing it. All right. So, sorry, we are. The comments. So yes, we are heading into a very delicious space with Jonathan Homsey's Love Letter for Turkish Delight.
Hello. This is my love letter to Turkish delights. To enjoy this love letter, I would suggest you get some Turkish delights, about 3 or 4. I currently have the Turkish delights from my favorite place in so-called Melbourne, the Moroccan Soup Bar in Fitzroy North. If you're also based in the area, I would highly suggest supporting local businesses and getting the best Turkish delights in town. To start our love letter, I would like you to place your Turkish delight onto a table, and you can do this either standing or seated. After you've done this, I would like you to take your index finger and lightly press into the Turkish delight and place the Turkish delight onto the table. Do this 5 or 6 times. Really observe the texture that you feel, this bounce from the Turkish delight, the light feeling of the powdered sugar against the skin of your finger. This bounce from the Turkish delight is anti-fragile. With every press from your finger, the Turkish delight bounces back even stronger.
Oh, so delicious. Hello there.
Hi, I couldn't do what, like, my table's too high, so I'm just using the back of my hand, and then I'm just doing what the podcast says. But now I have powdered sugar everywhere, so let me just
tell me about it, because it's trance-like, right? You just start going there. And I know I'm a gal who loves the visualization, so I can feel it, I can see it, I can breathe it. So how and why did this come to you at this moment?
I think for me, the first concern is how do I feel good? And how do I get others to feel good? And also, feeling good is such a subjective thing. And I just kind of think, and if you know me personally, I'm kind of like a soft marshmallow, a Jigglypuff, or a Snorlax, if you ever play Pokemon for my age bracket. So how do I create that softness for everyone? And for me, that's always in with dance imagery. And I'm always honoring the pedagogy of where I come from. I think all of us from a diasporic background, especially from Asian or South Asian background, we're very kind of I don't want to say over fascinated, but we're very infatuated with legacy and honoring kind of our Mr. Miyagis, you know what I mean? So this came from a year of research in 2019, where I went to the land of the Duwamish people, which is in Seattle.
Manka Lambert just says, ooh, with an exclamation mark. So we might need you to elaborate at some point, Ms. Farmer. Yes, but go on.
And so I went over there, and we do a lot of things called scores, which are kind of like almost like a game, like a little bit of a dance game. And I realized that a lot of these games or scores were not accessible because contemporary dance is elitist. And so I was like, how do I actually pare this back a bit so we can actually all feel good together? In one of the classes, you have spongy ankles. And I never really understood it when I went to VCA, and Bella Waru and I had the same teacher, which is the lovely Wendy Smith, who just got nominated for an Australian Dance Award for Dance Education, which I'm very, very happy about. And so I didn't really get it when she talked about.
I don't know what this means. Love Jigglypuff. Is that for you?
That's for me. That's why the pink Pokemon. Okay. Yeah.
Sorry.
It is a compliment. So yeah, the spongy ankles, it's around like, so if this was like my leg and this is my ankle, my foot, it's about having this part of your ankle really spongy. So when we're walking, we can feel a sense of buoyancy when we move. And so I really struggled with that kind of idea. When I went to Seattle, they actually had you hold sponges while you were doing it. And then it just made sense. And so when I wanted to make my own versions honoring that pedagogy of Skinner release technique and open source forms, slide on my Instagram if you want to know more info. I wanted to do marshmallows.
Could you just say those words slightly slower again?
Totally. I would.
Skinner release? Skinner
release technique. So like Skin, Joan Skinner was her name. Is it her name? She's 96 years old. Skinner release technique. And another one of those teachers did a form called open source forms. And that kind of really fuels my practice conceptually. And then I put some, because that beat in the background is very similar to Dr. Dre's Explosive when we get into the beat. And so it really just trying to kind of walk over. I hate saying urban, but for some reason in Australia it's considered urban music. I don't know, what is it? The Eureka Sky Deck? Like, what is that? But it has a very like archetypal hip hop beat, you know? So, and I think that kind of brings a natural sensuality, even though me playing with the Turkish Delight isn't that sensual. But I realized I had to do Turkish Delights because marshmallows aren't vegan. So if I want everyone to dance with me, I got to do some Turkish Delights.
I see. What is this? Lambert saying again, what that love letter really made me feel good. I want Turkish Delight. Well, I want Turkish Delight too. I think I need some Turkish Delight. I wonder if Cindy.
Can we clarify? Where did you get your Turkish Delight? Let's tell everyone. Where did you get that Turkish Delight?
This Turkish Delight was bought. Actually, this one was given to me by the ladies at the Moroccan Soup Bar. Oh, is it called something else now, Jonathan? Or is it still?
Oh, no, just the one we went to, called Moroccan Soup Bar to go because of COVID. Yeah.
To go, which is, you'll find us there some night next week because we are having dinner there and sitting across from each other. Oh, Ashley Rose has just said Dandy's marshmallows are vegan.
Are they dandelion marshmallows, Ashley Rose? Is that what the Dandies is implicit of? Could you let us know in the comment box on Facebook?
Yes.
I would really love to try it. But it's also great because when you think of COVID, we think of all these little pleasures. Our walks are longer. And so why can't I have this conversation with my food? I live alone. So this is as much action as I'm getting. You want to know what jiggly I'm getting? This bounce is all I'm getting.
I think
me, myself, and I, and the bounce of the Turkish Delight. So
somebody's saying, Weird Alice is saying that Dandy's is a brand.
Weird Alice is one of my favorite people, one of the favorite drag queens of all ever. Amazing performer. Go add them on Instagram. It's I Don't Get Weird Drag, which is an amazing page. Highly recommend. Please check them out. And they're watching all the way from the land of so-called Toronto. So we're having some international viewers.
Well, Johnny, what we need now, I think, is some music. And I'm going to bring on the other artists. We're going to bring back Bella, James, Francis, and Cindy. Does everybody have something to chew on? Ooh. What have you got there, Bella?
Oh,
traditional. delight from the 7-Eleven.
Nobody has diabetes because this is sweet.
I think we might need some music. Oh, shout out to Christian, who's our behind the scenes, Christian Biko. Oh. If anybody at home has something squishy, Turkish delight would be perfect, but anything at all, please.
Maybe something not flesh related. Maybe not flesh. Probably something not flesh. But let's start with putting our Turkish delight between our thumb and our index finger.
Yeah.
And I just want you to squish it. And just really feel that bounce back, you know?
Yeah.
It kind of feels like a butt a little bit if you close your eyes, but that's that in the podcast. But yeah, it's really interesting that every time you bounce back, it actually comes back a bit firmer.
Oh, wow.
And that's something I find fascinating. And how do I, in my softness, still be strong? How do I have an energetic and spiritual field that is like this Turkish delight? You know, that, you got that conspiracy theory. I'm going to say no, thank you, and bounce back with love. You know, it's all good. You know, we're all warriors of love, and let's all be soft. Turkish delight, you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So this is my favorite part. I'm going to say it, and then we're going to do it, because I can't do both at the same time.
Right.
You want to have your lips slightly pouted, and you just want to slightly rub the Turkish delight across your lips. It feels so good, but it's so weird.
Yeah.
And now you get to lick the powdered sugar off your lips.
That's good.
Right? And now we're finally going to take a bite of our Turkish delight. And as we bite our Turkish delight, I want you to pretend that the floor is made of Turkish delights and see if you can bounce. If you're seated, pretend what your cushion is a Turkish delight, and you want to do this while you're chewing. So you're really feeling the inside of your mouth and you're feeling the floor. Thank you, Margot. This is for you, to you, Margot, who made our comment. Eat half, save for less later. And as you're chewing, see if you can feel that soft bounce. Can you feel it in your ankles? Do you feel it like in your hips? Do you feel that bounce in your diaphragm?
I just took another bite.
Through that, we're paying respect to the amazing women of color who've made this food for us. You know, I don't think they expected me to bump and grind to their pastries, but I think they appreciate that I'm giving it the same respect that they gave the food. And I feel like that's our future in Melbourne. We need to be hyper local and support our local economies and local artists, because I think that's the way of the future. What's the new normal? I hope the new normal is this.
I'm going to keep eating this.
And you know what, Candy? You have the power and you have the autonomy, and that's what this podcast is about. Because you have autonomy over your bodies, you have autonomy over who you hug, and you have autonomy of how much sugar you put in your mouth.
Well, we're going to continue on and send our love out to people. Someone just said that's so hard on a keto diet. Andy, that's so hard on a keto diet. I know, but you can watch other people.
I feel like maybe then don't be on a keto diet. Maybe that's why I'm not on a keto diet. Like,
maybe get off it. No, do you? Lots of love. We're signing out here from this beautiful moment, Shelter Watch Party 2020. Thank you so much to our beautiful guests, Bella, James, Francis, Cindy, and John. People just need
I don't want to waste the powdered sugar, so I'm going to funnel the powdered sugar.
Do it.
It's just bad.
Do it.
Sustainable.
Yeah.
Oh, I got to. Oh, no.
It's happening. I'm just going to do this. I'm going to do that. A little bit of that. Good. What are you guys doing? So, So much love.
I'm sorry, did you just wipe that on your forehead? Did you just like Simba with the Turkish delight?
I also live alone, so we will be back with other artists, beautiful folk from across the shelter program. Please take a deep dive, watch these works again. There's all this love and thanks coming through. Over and out. Have a wonderful Thursday into the weekend, and maybe go and sit on a sidewalk and drink a coffee. Metro Melbourne. Bye.
Love yourself. Love yourself. It leads to community care. Love yourself, please, and use that for community care.